to Spill the Petals. I'm Jackie Lacey, and I'm here with my trusty sidekick, Renato Segecco.
Hey guys, how you doing?
And we are really happy to announce not a new person to the team, but in a full-time position. Angelyn Tipton is joining our Floriology team, and it's been a long process
Yes,
to
it
get to
has.
this point, right? But welcome, Angelyn.
Thank you. Hello, everybody.
Hey Angela, how long have you been working with Floriology?
Since 2015.
Okay, so that's even before I came on board
Yes.
at BloomNet. So it's been quite a while.
It's we have a stringent interview process here, obviously. No, just teasing. Angelyn's been an independent contractor for a number of years, and accepted a full-time position to join the staff and to be able to help us do things like this that we'll be able to fulfill.
So welcome aboard.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome.
We thought it would be a perfect time because Angelyn has been for the last several years, I'm not sure how many, working as a freelance designer in the industry. And many of you may know that she is a frequent visitor on social, helping to guide others, not just with Floriology, but in other aspects as well. And we thought it would be a great time because many of you are changing your business model or plan and looking or considering freelance design. And we wanted to ask for some guidance if someone is looking to change to a freelance designer. What are some of the first things that you would recommend?
Come up with a contract so you know what to expect. I did not do that at first. And I had a phone call from somebody that said, send me your contract. And that went, oh, I need to sit down and spell out exactly everything that I want so that they could sign it as well as myself. And we both knew what I was getting into.
Did you use a legal service, like online legal service, or went with a lawyer?
I did not. I have a lawyer friend in the family, so I just kind of talked to them about what needed to be in it, and kind of took my wedding contract that we all have, or a lot of us have, and just used some of that same verbiage.
Well, I want to key in on one thing you said that I think is very important. Include everything that you want, everything that you need to think about, mileage and hotel, meals, clothing, length of time that you're going to be there. What happens if they want you to stay? What happens if they want you to leave early?
Right.
What happens if there's a hurricane or a tornado or, God forbid, an earthquake, whatever might happen? Include everything in that first process, and then negotiate with the owner or whomever you're contracting with on changes they may want to make. Because you can always do an addendum to every contract, but it's a little more challenging to go back and add something in that's not there.
Yes, it is. And it's difficult when you get there and they give you one logo wear shirt and you're there for a week, and how are you going to get it laundered and things like that. You need to think about whether you need to request extra shirts, or are they providing me some place to go and do my laundry, because I want clean laundry to wear every day, because in this industry, we get dirty. It's a very dirty business.
So that sounds like a lot of minutia, but that still needs to be included in this contract.
Yes, it does.
Well, and even more importantly is what are the social requirements and restrictions.
Yes.
So we know a lot of people that have had freelance positions, and there's a controversy, especially when you're working for someone else. They give you the flowers or provide the flowers. They give you a recipe. Is that your work or is that their work? And there are people on both sides of that conversation who actually qualifies, but it's my feeling if someone is paying me, that's actually their work. I still might want to post it, but I would think that you also want to post that it's being done under this person or in conjunction with this person or collaboration, whatever they may want you to say.
Yes. And some shops do say you can post if you tag us in it, or you can say, I really enjoyed working for, this is what we got to create. But on the other hand, I've taken that one step further and have in my contract about my image, and they can't say that I'm working for them because I showed up to work in my contract, I was supposed to be doing this. I got there. My name was all over the front of the store, and she had me doing a design program for 2 days for a group. And that was really awkward because that's not what we had contracted to do. So I had to learn from that to be very specific in the contract what they can use my name for. And, that little bit goes a long way.
Well, and that's another good point too. Making sure that your contract spells out what you're being contracted for,
To do.
because that way you have something to stand on. Someone's paying you, you get there, and now suddenly it's a different situation. You decide you don't want to do that, you're not going to get paid. So what's going to be the repercussions of that?
Right.
Or what's going to be the benefits for the person that you're working for too? Because remember, that door swings both ways. It's not one-sided. There's a different entity on both sides of that
There
door,
is.
so to speak. And what we're trying to do is make it work well for both people, because that makes a happy designer and a happy owner.
Can I ask a technical question though? I know that you probably roam among several states
Yes.
in your work.
Yes.
Is the contract, does it need to be in the court system or whatever in the state that you're working in, or could it be like, say, if you're based in Florida, be based in Florida, and then so if any litigious activity needs to happen, it needs to happen here. Sorry.
That's a good question, and I don't know. That would be where I would say check with your lawyer.
Gotcha.
on
Actually,
that.
I do know the
You
answer.
do know.
Okay,
I do
great.
know the answer to that.
Awesome. Yeah.
From being on both sides of that coin, a previous owner as well as a freelance designer. And your contract is for work contracted between the two people.
Mhm.
So, and except for tax purposes, if there's different tax laws, and technically, if you live in Florida, we'll use that as an example, and you're working for someone in Alabama, you should be filing taxes in Alabama as well. And my accountant had to lead me through that. Sadly, I have to say, the first year that I found that out, because I pay taxes in 6 different states, and it becomes very complicated if you are on that part. But then there's also things that you have to take into consideration if they're paying you in cash, and if they're writing you a check, and how is that going to be reported? All of these things have to be in your contract, and it's better to put them in there, decide on them up front, get that out of the way, so that you know that everything, you go in there, do what you're being asked to do, what you've been hired to do. Also include on there what they're going to provide for you.
Yes.
Right? Because also very important. And then that way both of you have a good experience as this moves forward. On the social aspect, what are some of the other things that you might want to take into consideration, Renato, to have in your contract when it comes to social responsibilities?
Yeah, I think it's very important that you make recommendations of what you could do, because I think a lot of times people have these crazy expectations of and assumptions of what they think that you should be doing, and then when you don't do it, they're like, "Hey, this is a great event. Like, why aren't you doing anything to promote something that that we hired you to do?" So I think it's our recommendation is, again, like with anything else, spell it out, and if they haven't spelled it out, ask them about it. And if they come back to you and say, "Oh, well, we thought you were just going to do your thing," well, no, we should go ahead and spell those things out and make that recommendation. For example, we have our contracts with all our design team members that spell everything out. Like, we expect at least a certain amount of posts or number of posts at this time prior to the event. So again, with everything else, spell it out. Is that your experience, Angela?
Most of the time when I go off to places and work, I have several different levels that I do, and it goes with my pay grade. If I'm showing up at your shop, I'm standing at a bench and I'm just designing, that's one fee. If I'm coming in and I'm managing your store for you, answering phone, waiting on customers, helping your designers, keeping your workflow going, I charge more for that. And then if you take me off to the event site for your wedding and you drop me off and say, "See ya, it's all yours," that's another level altogether. So
Mhm, mhm.
I work by different levels. The more I do, the more they have to pay me.
I like that. The more I do, the more I get paid.
That's right.
We should all work that way, right?
That's right.
One thing that I want to make sure that we also talk about are what are the benefits of being freelance design? Because it's not just challenges and struggles. Those are certainly the things that we want to get out of the way first. But there are certain advantages. And what are some of the advantages you think would fall under being freelance?
Well, I really like people and meeting all new people. So that's a lot of fun for me. And a lot of the places I go to, I repeat going there because it's a wonderful work environment. If I have a bad experience, I can say, I don't have to come back to this and it's okay. I make a lot of new connections, and one shop may be looking for cold glue, and I'll have just been in a wholesale house and see 6 cases of it sitting there, and I can help my friends out, my shops out, and pass it along.
I can testify to that.
That's
So
great.
it's great networking as well. So
And there's something that, especially on the corporate level, that
Mhm.
we've been discussing for the last couple of years with the changes in structure of business and business models, and so many people coming into the industry from different areas. As a freelance designer and being out at some of the trade shows, how would you qualify yourself when it when someone asks, "What do you do?" There's a definite, I don't want to call it a breakdown, but we're struggling on how do we identify the various levels of floristry now,
mm-hmm,
because we have people that work from home,
mm-hmm,
we have people that work in a rented space,
mm-hmm,
we have people that are freelance,
mm-hmm.
we have people that are just starting in the business in the industry, we have people that do weddings only, we have people that do event only, we have people that do daily work only. And all of those may say they're a home based florist, they're a freelance florist, they're an event florist, they're a wedding florist. What we're struggling with is how do we qualify? So, what would you suggest to those that might be in that freelance area? How do you qualify yourself? Identify yourself.
Well, I always introduce myself as a freelance designer with over 30 years of experience. And that over 30 years of experience kind of makes them stop and look at me. And then I just simply talk to them, because if I'm new, looking for a new place to freelance, and I'm in their store, I may talk to them about this arrangement and the different flowers in it and the pretty, container and the style. And that sets me apart as somebody who knows what they're talking about from the very beginning. So that's one of the things that I do.
For those of you that are watching, help us out with this. Either respond on this information where you're seeing this, or reach out to us at FloriologyInstitute.com or on any of our social pages. And how would you qualify yourself? Do you recognize yourself as a wedding florist, or what area do you fall into? Because we really want to be able to respond to the market and to what's going on, and to help each of those levels in a different way, and being able to understand how those fit within our industry would really help us be able to provide a lot more on a lot different levels. So help us out and respond if you can. What would be some of the other points that you might bring up for that are benefits, other than just being able to decide on where you might or might not want
Right.
to work?
Learning new styles.
Yeah, that's great.
I may not always get to do a certain style, and I went to New York and had a great time with the team in New York, and learning all the tips and tricks that they do for a big event, as well as over in Alabama and Texas, different styles. I once had somebody tell me they knew it was my work and I was a great boho designer, and I thought, man, I would never consider myself a boho designer. And then I stopped and looked, well, this is great, because that gives me one more area that I know I can succeed in if somebody needs that style. So it's a great way to continue to hone my skills in different areas.
So what are aside from other designers, do you have other sources for inspiration that you get, these updates on what the trends are? Because I would think as a freelancer, you got to be on top of the latest trends, right?
Yes, I do. I spend a lot of time looking at social media.
Okay.
I mean, I have a love-hate with Pinterest. I've always had a love-hate, and I just
We all do, right?
I hate to say that. I'll have a bride come in with 500 images, and it's like, please narrow it down to the top 5 that you like and 1 that you hate. It's what I always ask them to do, and I want to know why they don't like this one image, because that helps me gear more toward what they want. But I do spend a lot of time on Instagram and YouTube and Pinterest. That keeps me going and looking. And when I find something that it's a style I may not be very comfortable with, I pull things and try it just to see if I like it, if I can do it, how I can achieve this look for a budget that may not be what's pictured, because that's really important too, is to get a style into a budget for the customer.
So I know this may differ, among regions, but who are your customers? I mean, are they millennials? Are they Xers like me? Are they younger? Are they older? I mean, who are they now these days?
As a freelancer, most of my work is for other shops.
Okay,
so it's whatever their customer base is. So when I walk in, if it's a new shop, I don't know what I'm getting into. I'll frequently go out, find them on Facebook, find them on Instagram to see the style, to know what they're more geared to. Are they more urban? Are they more garden? Are they, where are they? So I'll know if it's a style I'm not very comfortable with, that I may go in and say, let me make something, and then you tell me where I need to improve on it. Typically, the shop owner really appreciates me stopping to say, is this what you want, before I continue just to make stuff and it has to be redone.
Well, and I think that falls back to that discussion that we had. Is this your work or is this their work? If you're in their shop, it's going to be regional as far as clients, and there may be 6 stores in that particular town, and they may each have a different portion of the community that's there. So I think that would be a little different from, like Angelyn said, from store to store, from client to client.
That's a great point.
I applaud you on doing your research before you get there, because that's going to show them that you are a top-notch designer in the aspect that you took the time to get to know them before you came into their store to do their work. So it's going to automatically set a comfort level. Might help you get through the day just knowing some of that, because we've worked for some that might challenge that a little bit from time to time. But have taught us other great things in other areas. So there's always something to be learned. And I like that you said that's one of the things you learn: different styles, different community levels, different regional. I know you talk about going out to the swamp area. And that's a whole different aspect in its own here in Florida, but has provided some great fodder for us to talk about when Angelyn's here. And then being in a city and seeing how that differs and what that brings. So there's a lot to be learned when you're freelance or working on your own, and a lot that you can bring to the table as a designer because of it. Any other points that you would bring up about freelance work?
I can say that we really hadn't talked about where I get my work or how I got it. I can say that I went out and looked at things like ZipRecruiter and Indeed for surrounding towns that was close enough for a day drive, and introduced myself to them and let them know that, hey, if you've got a big wedding and you need extra hands, I can come do it. And I also talked to wholesalers and gave them my business cards if somebody's looking for extra help. And then it just started building. And then I had a wholesaler that we call them bucket trucks, and he took my cards and he passed them out at every single stop for me, and that built my client base. So really look at who you already know, or who has the most access to people that might need the help, and start there. If you're looking to get into it, because that's a great way.
That's some great points. And again, make sure that you're part of every social group, on every
Yes.
social page. You stay active on there, because that's a great place that you
Mhm.
can find connections for work. And not just in your area, because we have people that reach out to me all the time. Hey, do you know anyone that's willing to move here, or anyone moving to this
Yes.
area? So make sure that you utilize those that you do know, maybe not to work for them, but who else do they know that's in the industry as well?
Right. And I have a friend that's going to Italy to work for 5 months. So, I mean, you can really travel and go places and see things. And
That's nice.
yeah, it's
You
That's
can
a fringe benefit.
also connect with us on FloriologyInstitute.com on our website, because we have the past issues of all of our Floriology magazine,
yes.
which Angelyn has written several articles
That's right. Mhm.
with recommendations on both social posting and
Hmm.
how to increase your presence on social if you're a freelance designer. So check out the previous articles that Angelyn's done as part of our team previously, and future. You're going to see her there in other articles as well.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I mean, so I know we probably feel like you guys feel that we didn't go deep on any of these topics, but we are truly just experiencing the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
So the fact that Angelyn is now officially on our team, she's going to be back on to go deeper into some of these subtopics about freelancing. So what I would suggest is, if you do have something that is a burning question that you may have, leave it in the comments, send us an email, ask us any way, anyhow, and we'll be sure that we could address those topics on a future show and have Angelyn back to dive deep on that. Sound like a deal?
Sounds
does.
great.
Okay.
And any other recommendations on how to reach out to us?
Oh, definitely. So I know we talked social, and a lot of people may not necessarily think of YouTube as social, but come back, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and all these podcasts will be published on there and more. So we look forward to your participation, and I know Angelyn's going to help us on the video front.
Absolutely.
So we're going to do a lot of creative new things going into the future, and YouTube is a very big part of that. So check us out on that channel.
So again, thank you for joining us and tuning in. And remember, welcome. We want to say one more time to
Thank you.
Angelyn. And there's no use crying over spilled petals. We'll see you again next time.